We can get started. Perfect for James. All right. Excellent. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Atoms. Thank you, Steve. John, Visible Dark. Oh, wow. Hey, Sean, how are you? Nice to see you here. Appreciate joining. I am doing this interview kind of thing for the first time. I usually go live. I don't talk to multiple people. So I wanted to make sure my microphone setup is okay with the Zoom meeting that I'm using to, I guess, cast on the screen, I guess. So I hope it comes out okay. So the reason I set this up, thanks for joining. Reason to set this up is, usually I do my video and I talk about, do some research on whatever the event that is going on. And I met James just a few days ago and I saw his presentations and I figured out actually he's a director in one of the planetariums. He's also on PBS television channel. So I was kind of very impressed as soon as I talked to him and I understood his profile and portfolio. So I thought maybe rather than me researching and relaying it back, why don't we hear from the source, right? Who would be the best person rather than a planetarium director telling us what is the event that is coming up? So just an introduction. We have a great event coming up December 21st. So we are going live on my channel. I will have all my telescopes pointed out 3 days before, 3 days after. It's pretty low down in the south side, so we need to be careful. So we'll practice it 3, 4, 5 days before. So I wanted let James introduce himself and talk about the event as well. James, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Ray. And everyone, welcome to our presentation this evening. I'm honored to be a guest of Ray's Astrophotography. Ray and I also met a few days ago. We were both we were helping to celebrate one of our fellow astrophotographers in his YouTube channel. It had a major milestone it reached. So the event that's going to be happening on December 21st that Ray was talking about, it's called a Great Conjunction. Now, a conjunction is when a planet and the moon, or two planets or multiple planets, share identical right ascensions and declinations. And this particular event is going to be the closest that Jupiter and Saturn have appeared in almost 400 years. So, as you probably noticed during this past year, Jupiter and Saturn have been getting closer and closer. They got further away a little bit just before opposition, and then they started to get closer again. And that's the usual back and forth motion that they make as they go into retrograde. So over the next few weeks, they're going to be getting about, they'll be about half a degree apart by the beginning of December, about a full moon width apart. And then by the time we get to the 21st, they will be only a 1/10 of a degree apart. So they'll be about one full moon width apart after Thanksgiving. And so you'll notice they're getting closer and closer. Do you want me to go into the orbital mechanics of why this is happening? Or you want to save that for a little bit later?
Yeah, when you said 1/10 of a degree apart.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That means when you are seeing the Jupiter and Moon together, hey, daughter of the king, thank you for joining. When you see without any telescope and all, can you make the difference out that these are two individual planets, or can they?
The human eye can distinguish down to probably, because a 1/10 degree, it can probably resolve without using a telescope. You can probably resolve to a little less than I might have to look that one up specifically, but a 1/10 of a degree is very, very close.
Extremely
if you're nearsighted like I am, if you take your eyeglasses off, it probably will look like one star. But if you have 20/20 vision, you'll be able to see two. Mizar and Alcor, I think, are closer than a tenth of a degree. They
Oh,
might be. Mizar and Alcor
yeah,
would be a
yeah,
good
yeah,
one
yeah.
to
No,
check.
no, no. I mean that. See, they are bright, right? So basically, because of the
Mhm.
brightness, they are like literally next to each other.
Yeah. So,
So I wanted to, before we go into the event itself, I wanted to give a big shout out to James. I wanted you all to go to his YouTube channel as well. If it is possible, I'm going to share his YouTube channel in a second.
yeah, I can
Uh,
type. I'll type the link in the chat, and you can share it with everyone because I have
oh,
the name that I
definitely,
have is easier to
definitely.
get.
Please do check out. Go ahead, give an introduction of your channel, James, please.
Okay. Um, to give you a little background history of me, I almost finished typing. Okay, that's correct. Okay, Ray, you can take that and share it.
I will do. Thank
Okay,
you.
excuse me. So, I started working at the planetarium in Miami when I was 14 years old, and I had an opportunity to meet Jack Horkheimer, who is the not only the executive director of that planetarium, but he also created and hosted the show Star Hustler on our local PBS station. They eventually changed the name to Jack Horkheimer Stargazer because when teachers were looking for the show on the internet, when they would type Star Hustler in the search engines, they didn't come up with the pages they wanted to come up with. Um, so the uh, over the years, Jack in the mid 1990s, the show went national, so everyone was able to see it around the country. And Jack Horkheimer hosted the show for almost 40 years. And I watched the show as a child. And when Jack Horkheimer passed away in August 2010, I was already working at the planetarium in Gainesville as the director. And I noticed that there were several guest hosts on the show. Chris Trigg was the first guest host, and now he works for SpaceX designing the spacesuits for the astronauts, which I thought was kind of cool. And then Ray Romano, who was an astronomer from, I believe, either New Jersey or New York, one of those two states. And then Dean Regas was a guest host, and I really liked Dean Regas. He was very engaging, and he was funny, and he was very and
So, James,
he
sorry to
really had.
interrupt.
Yeah, go
So,
ahead.
we have Sean from Visible Dark. He's in from Canada,
Oh,
and he's great astrophotographer. He has a lot of PixInsight tutorials on his channel, and he
oh,
watched the Star Hustler as a kid.
oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So in when Jack died and Dean was on 1 month, and I contacted one of my friends who I worked with in Miami, and he was also one of the producers of Stargazers. Well, Jack Horkheimer Stargazer. I asked him, how does a person get to be a guest host on the show? Because being a planetarium director, I'd love to be able to follow in Jack's footsteps and host an episode or two. So he asked me to send an audition video. So I sent the video that I did with our local ABC affiliate when I was talking about the lunar eclipse in 2010 on December 21st, ironically. And they liked it, so they invited me to come down and record the episode for April of 2011. And the audience liked me, the producers liked me, and they also liked Dean, so they decided to go ahead and change the name of the show to Stargazers. And Dean and I hosted the show together, along with Marlene Hidalgo, one of the local science teachers in South Florida. So, and she was on the show with us for 3 years. Then, after she had moved to New Jersey with her family, Dean and I did the show together. So we hosted the show collectively for 9 years on PBS. And Stargazers on PBS is the only weekly television program that talks about naked eye astronomy for the average person on the street. Their current host is Trace Dominguez, and their current producer is the Florida Atlantic University. So they partnered with South Florida PBS to produce the program. So when Dean and I, when our time with Stargazers ended about a year ago, I felt this void that I felt that I still wanted to share the night sky, and YouTube is a great venue for that.
I'm
So,
actually showing your YouTube channel as we speak on the live stream, so
excellent. Thank
so
you.
they can actually see the YouTube your channel itself. It's amazing.
Okay.
It actually comes out the sky above us, right? That's how you can
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah, The Sky Above Us is the name of my program. And we put out 2 episodes per month, one on the 15th of the month and one on the 30th of the month. So the most recent episode that I've posted is about the return of Orion to the night sky. So the basic premise of the show is we tell you about what's happening in the night sky, and we give you little pieces of astronomy trivia, very similar to what Jack Burkheimer did with the Stargazers program. And the nice thing about YouTube is I'm not constrained by a specific time frame like we are on television. So most of my episodes are between 4 to the most 8 minutes long. And in 2021, I'm going to mix in some evergreen content that won't be so time sensitive as these are. But every month I will produce an episode that will talk about all the celestial events in the coming month.
Right.
So the next episode that we're going to post is about the conjunction that's happening next month. And then the episode after that, we're going to talk about the things you can look for in the entirety of 2021. Eclipses, conjunctions, meteor showers are going to be 3 things that we'll focus on.
So that
primarily.
that makes me curious. I understand they are coming together. Like why do they call it the Great Conjunction?
Okay. So a great conjunction, well, an ordinary conjunction is when you get planets to appear near each other in the sky. And that happens rather frequently, particularly between Mercury and Venus. And when a planet is within 10 degrees of another planet, that's considered a conjunction. The closer the conjunction is, the prettier I think it looks. And there have been some quintuple conjunctions in the past where you have all 5 of the naked eye planets together. One of the most notable was in 1952 BC in February and March. The next one's going to be in early September of 2040. And coincidentally, my son's 30th birthday is going to be only 2 days away from that conjunction. So I told him on the evening of his 30th birthday, go outside and look toward the west. I'll be 73 when that happens. But nevertheless, a great conjunction is specifically the conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn. Because, as you know, Jupiter takes almost 12 years to orbit the sun. Saturn takes almost 30 years to orbit the sun. So it takes almost 20 years before they're both on the same side of the sun. And they're not, and this is their sidereal period. That's how long it takes them to travel all the way around the sun and line up with the same stars. That's where the term sidereal comes from. So in order to calculate when they will be close to each other, you take the sidereal period of Saturn and multiply it by the sidereal period of Mars, and Jupiter. And you'll come out with a number very close to 351. So now if you divide that number by the difference between their sidereal periods, so if you take 29.5 and subtract that from 11.86, or if you just want to do 30 and 12, if you want to round up, that'll give you 17.8 or 18 if you rounded it up, and then, 20. And that will give you, or it'll give you 18, sorry. And then if you divide the 351 years by 18, you get 19.76 or 20. So Jupiter and Saturn get close to each other in the sky every 19 to 20 years. So with that said, there was a close one in 2020, and there will be a close one in 2020. There was a close one in 2000. There'll be another one in 2040, 2060, and 2080. Now, looking at I have a data table here. The one in 2040 is going to be 1 degree apart, which is 2 full moon widths. So it's cute, but it's not like this one. And then the one on March 15th, or sorry, April 10th of 2060 is also going to be 1 degree apart, which is 2 full moonlets. So it's cute, but not really exciting like this one is. And so on March 15th of 2080, we get another very close conjunction of 6 minutes of arc apart, which is a tenth of a degree. Yeah. So I get
No,
very
I'm
excited
showing
about
you while you are talking about the event. I'm actually sharing my screen with the Stellarium, and
Okay.
when we are looking at the Stellarium on that date, the 21st, right?
Yeah, because you have your date set to,
The second,
yeah, yeah, you have your date, looks like it's set to the
sec,
2nd of December.
2nd of December.
Well, what date do you have your Stellarium set to right now?
Let me see if I can fix that. Let me go here. Where is my date with?
Conjunction dance. Yeah, I guess someone has seen me do my conjunction dance on Stargazers.
Yes,
If
yes.
if you go to South Florida PBS, if you go to either their YouTube channel or their actual channel and go to episodes, you have to go back probably to last year, maybe the year before. There are several episodes where Dean and I talk about conjunctions, and it was about 4 or 5 years ago when we first did it, where I was looking for something interesting to do. So while Dean was talking about the conjunction, I just started dancing while I was on set. And he said it was very difficult to concentrate while I did that, but the directors liked it, and it was a unique thing for us to do. So we started writing it into episodes so that whenever there was a conjunction, I would get excited. There was even one episode where I exploded. I was so excited because the moon passed by all 5 of the naked eye planets in a period of 2 weeks. So, but you'll be happy to know that I will actually resurrect the conjunction dance with this particular episode. So it'll be in the episode somewhere. So you'll get a chance to to see me do that again.
So, are there any like past, like I guess the next one is coming what, 2080, like 60 years, 60 years from now, right? The last one, when, like, it's like what's like really old time, right? Not in the
The
recent
last time they were this close together was in 1623.
Oh my God.
Let's see, the date specifically, have it written down.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So I guess, what is there a, like, like a story, like, and people are getting it, like, what I mean, today we are looking through Stellarium, we are zooming in and out as we speak. I mean, we are a bit technologically advanced, right? But what if someone old time, if they are looking at these planets and they come closer and closer by the day, what's the stories that people felt?
Yeah, because for those of you who, as you know, astronomy was birthed from astrology. Because unlike all the other sciences where you can actually pick up a physical object and study it, like if you wanted to study geology, you can compare 2 rocks together and tell that this rock is kind of crumbly and sandy, so it's probably sedimentary, and this one's a little more solid and has crystals in it. That one's maybe igneous, possibly metamorphic. But with astronomy, we couldn't really tell what all that stuff was up there without the use of telescopes or the use of science or mathematics. Now, the Maya, they were one of the first civilizations to begin using mathematics for creating their calendar day. But they also paid very close attention to the movements of the planets, particularly Venus. And the Babylonians they've noticed Jupiter since the beginning of their recorded time. And the Chinese calendar is 12 years. It has a 12-year cycle, which also coincides more or less with the movements of the planet Jupiter. So whenever the planets would move against the background stars, uh, it made people wonder, well, these objects are different than the other stars that are up there. And not only do they move, they don't twinkle like the other stars. And without the use of telescopes, they couldn't really zoom in to see what these objects were like. So the Greeks, for example, called the planets wandering stars. The term asteres planetes. Planetes means wanderer, so asteres planetes meant wandering stars. And particularly with planets like Mars, they would attribute personalities and moods to the gods in the heavens. So all the planets, the names that we give the planets are the same names the Romans gave them. So you have the sun, the moon, but then you have Mercury named after the messenger of the gods, Venus named after the Roman goddess of beauty and love, Mars is the god of war, and that was particularly because of the red color of Mars. And as you've noticed this year, Mars went into retrograde earlier in the year. And as it did that, it got brighter. And every 26 months, we catch up with Mars, just as Jupiter is caught up with Saturn. And we were in opposition with Mars this past October. And Ray, you had some beautiful photographs of Mars and even the Mars live shot where you can actually see color variations on the surface.
Thank you.
I've never seen that in a earthbound telescope that wasn't, I don't know, it's amazing to me that your average everyday person now can get views that rival what the Palomar telescope and all those others.
I was just thinking 1600s, there weren't even any cameras, right? So no one took this picture before us.
So that's one of the things that excites me about this particular conjunction is that this will be the first time in human history that we have recorded Jupiter and Saturn in the same field of view. And it's almost like the solar eclipse in 2017 was the most well-documented solar eclipse in human history because it covered so many populated areas of the United States. So whenever Mars would appear to go backwards and it would get very bright, the ancient Romans attributed that to death, war, pestilence, all those bad things, which coincidentally, a lot of that stuff's happened this year. But I digress. So whenever you saw two planets coming together, a lot of astrologers, they attribute personalities to not only the gods and their temperament, but the constellation that the conjunction happens within. If anyone's born under that particular conjunction, they may have some sort of, I don't know if there's a rubric or something where they say, okay, I don't know if they go into that much detail with it. So I don't study astrology, but I do appreciate it for the history that it gives to astronomy. Because when people visit our planetarium, whenever I do my live star presentations, I show them where their zodiac sign is in the night sky. And a lot of people don't realize, oh, wow, there's Scorpius, there's Sagittarius, and so forth.
So someone is asking, is there Zeus and Kronos, atoms patch? He's asking.
Zeus and Kronos, is that what was the question? I'm sorry.
No, like when you said these are the two coming together, it's like.
Oh, will they crash into each other? Oh, okay. Yeah. Fortunately, the planets and their orbits they're very far apart. They're Jupiter and Saturn, even though they're close to each other right now physically, they're still almost a 500 million miles apart. So Saturn is, when we are on the same side of the sun at Saturn, with Saturn, when in opposition, as we call it, that's when the sun is opposite the planet that we're talking about in the sky. We're about a little under 1 billion miles away from it. So Saturn is about 9 astronomical units from the sun, and Jupiter is about 5 astronomical units from the sun. So Saturn's almost twice away from, as far away. Let me calm down. I get excited when I talk about astronomy.
Go ahead. We are all. Yeah.
So Saturn is almost twice as far away from the sun as Jupiter is. So they're not going to hit each other. But because of our angle where we are in the solar system, we're actually looking across the solar system to where Jupiter and Saturn are. And Jupiter's angle with respect to Saturn is such that because we're coming back around the sun. So we're seeing them on the opposite side of the solar system, very close to each other, apparently. And their orbits are inclined to one another, but the inclination, the intersection point of their orbits in the sky, they're almost at that point. Now, there have been some great conjunctions we've missed because Jupiter and Saturn were at superior conjunction. They were on the opposite side of the sun from where we are. So they were behind the sun, so we couldn't see it because of the glare. But this one, we caught it just in time before they went behind the sun. And the first week of January, there's going to be a triple conjunction with Mercury. And it'll happen just after sunset in the first week of January.
Is that the triangle they are talking about?
Yeah, yeah, it'll form a triangle with Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury.
Yeah, it does form a triangle shaped planet, I guess, conjunction. People are like pretty excited to watch that one too.
Oh, you've probably seen there's this meme that's been floating around for years where you have these three planets lining up over the pyramids in Giza. Yeah, that there's some conjunctions that do happen like that, but not this year. But if you time it right, you can get things to line up over the pyramids. You just have to know where to position your camera in order to take it. And the planets all stay very close to each other in that path across the sky. I don't want to say latitudinally, but in degrees north or south of the ecliptic.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, no, definitely. I think we are all looking forward to. I think you will see folks on this channel. The live. Depends on the telescope. We may have to change closer and closer as we go. I think we'll start with a little bit wider, and then we go to the scope that you see in my background. Like we go to the C14, and then when we start putting like the 2x on it, and we zoom further into it. We wanted to keep those two in the same field of view, definitely. And Sean is saying he read about the Jupiter and Saturn were closer in the conjunction on March 4, 1226.
Ooh, 1226. You can bring that up on Stellarium. Was that AD or BC?
No, it's AD.
AD? Okay. Okay, 1226.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, would you be able to pull that up on Stellarium for us?
Sure, definitely. Between that, I was wanting to ask, folks, if you have any questions for James to answer, please feel free to ask any questions that you have. Definitely, I can relay it back, and I guess James, you can also see the comments as well while I'm pulling it up. So one more important thing that we were looking at. When you take a picture, I'm talking mainly from an astrophotography standpoint. So, are these planets, once you start seeing them in the telescope, they are equally bright. You can see them together, right?
Yes.
That would be fantastic view. Forget taking picture, looking in the field of view, and you're looking at two planets. That'll give you goosebumps, definitely.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has ever taken. Because the only other planets I think have ever been close enough, I know there have been occultations where you could see, because there's a recent occultation that the moon had with Mars a few months ago. And you could actually, if you were in Brazil, you would have seen the occultation. It wasn't as close for us here in North America. But yeah, I don't think anyone has taken a picture of two planets in the same field of view. Because even Mercury and Venus, I don't think their orbits have lined up in such a way that we would see them that close. But I was doing some future research, and on this date, in 2603, that's well in the future. If you ever heard the song "The Dawn of the Age of Aquarius" by the Fifth Dimension,
I heard the name though. Yes.
Yeah, on that date. Well, the song goes like, when the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, peace will rule the planets and love will steer the stars. So Mars and Jupiter will be they'll be about 14 arc minutes apart, which is extraordinarily close. Not as close as this, but almost as close. They'll be twice as far apart as this particular, but I mean it's very small, and it's the closest I can recall Mars and Jupiter ever being, and they will be in the constellation Aquarius. The moon on that date will be in the seventh house of the zodiac, which is Libra. So if you count all the constellations from Aries, you have Aries going this way: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Leo, no, Cancer, Leo, yeah, and Virgo and Libra. You'll eventually get to, yeah. So that's going to be, it's a fifth of a degree apart, but it's 600 years from now almost. So, but apparently somebody was doing their homework when they wrote that song, because that actually is a thing. And the equinoctial point, the point where the vernal equinox occurs, will have moved from Pisces into Aquarius. It'll be just in the border or boundary that we officially consider being Aquarius. Yeah,
That's fantastic. I'm looking at looking at the Jupiter on the day for 1226. I guess Sean was saying. So looking up and see.
I noticed in the chat someone was asking what happened to Comet Atlas. Is it still visible? Well, it depends on which Comet Atlas, because I think there are multiple Comet Atlases now. The one that we had visit back in March, that one is well beyond naked eye visibility. It's probably, it may not even be outgassing anymore at this point because it's so far from the sun. Comet Neowise, the one that just passed by in July, that one is also beyond naked eye visibility. There are still comets that people are keeping track of. I'm in a Facebook group called Comet Watch. So in that group are lots of astrophotographers and other people who are interested in chasing, well, not so much chasing them, but looking for them. Because we've had a lot of really nice, bright, naked eye comets in the southern hemisphere for the last few years, but we haven't had a decent one in the northern hemisphere for a long time. So when Comet Neowise appeared right after its perihelion passage, everyone was excited. People all over North America, particularly in the northern latitudes, were able to take pictures.
We took bunch of pictures. We were live for the Comet Neowise on the channel. People were watching the Neowise. Everyone wanted to see the naked eye kind of comet, right? Obviously, but just a small telescope. Even I'm talking like $100 telescope. Doesn't matter even. It shows up, right? So people were very excited. There is one more comet right now that is visible, not without a telescope though, but it is getting so bright up to like Mag 6, so maybe a small binoculars or a telescope can do it. It's called Comet Erasmus. It's coming early in the morning. It's Comet C2020 S3. So that is coming up in the morning sky just before sunrise, like 5 in the morning, pretty low in the horizon, like southeast sky. It's going to be clear night tomorrow morning, I hope. So I'm actually planning to take my Rasa out and take picture if possible, if the clouds doesn't come. So stay tuned. If I do get a picture, folks, definitely I'll share the picture with you all. So any other questions do you see on the chat?
Yes. I'm a bit delayed, but I should be able to.
So Mavelin was here. I was so excited about the comments he was saying. Thank you for joining as well. Folks, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. You have anything else, James, that you wanted to share about the Great Conjunction?
Let's see. Anything else?
So are the planetariums good enough to actually, the telescopes I'm talking about, can they because it's so low in the sky. I heard you
Yeah,
can't
if you
see
yeah, if you have a clear enough view of the horizon, you should be able to see it easily.
even for the planetariums. Like I thought those telescopes.
A planetarium, for example, is a dome theater. If you let me go ahead and send you the link to my the college where I am. Oh, will this cause disturbances in the force? Because the sun. Okay. That was an interesting question. I think there might be a question on the chat. Okay, go up and you see where photos of the Kika Silva Pla Planetarium. And then you can actually see the picture of the projector there. Yeah. So back in 1982, in March, all the planets were on the same side of the sun. They weren't perfectly lined up, but they were within 45 degrees of separation. This is something that astronomers had calculated on because that's how we were able to send Voyagers 1 and Voyager 2 to do a grand tour of the solar system, because we could use Jupiter's gravity and Saturn's gravity to slingshot the spacecraft to the other locations. So, but there was an astronomer in England who had written about how the gravitational tides of the planets would cause death and destruction on the Earth because Jupiter and all the planets are lined up. Well, first, apparently this poor person hadn't really studied physics to any great degree, because gravity falls off almost the same way light falls off at a inverse square of the distance. So Jupiter's gravitational pull on us, even if we're combined with the other planets, would not have been, it would have been negligible. The moon has still a far greater effect on us, even though the moon doesn't have as much mass as Jupiter. It is closer to us significantly. So even the sun, with its great gravity, the sun does tug on us as well. And that also helps with our tides, but the moon is far greater when it comes to influence on our tides. So yeah, the world didn't end on March 2nd of 1982, like some people thought.
No. I mean,
Engineered
these events are going to be astronomical. Like from a like e- someone who is looking at it, right? I mean, without the necessarily
Without knowledge.
without all the technology, right? When they look at
Yeah.
this one, it does like give you like, oh my God, the the
What
the
happened?
the feeling you get when you are seeing two huge bodies coming together. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's not a small event in their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To put it in, I guess to put it in a more modern context, it's as if you were taking a picture of Jupiter and Saturn was photobombing it in the background.
Wow.
That's basically what it would be, what it's akin to. It's or you're taking a picture of Saturn and Jupiter is getting in the way. Yeah,
That'll
it
be
would be
awesome. That'll be awesome,
we could see,
folks.
it would be
If
see
you
them
don't
both
have
each
any
other.
other questions, I think time to wrap up. Thank you
Okay.
very much, James, for your time.
Okay.
Anytime you wanted to come, and definitely I'll give a shout out this way or some other way. But please do come once in a while. When we are going live, I will invite you to see. Maybe you can provide commentary
Oh,
when we are
cool.
live, when we are watching it. Yeah, that would be a great help.
I would be honored. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'll be fun.
that will be fun. Hey, Chuck Astrophotography, he joined as well. Chuck, thank you for joining. I probably you must be knowing James as well. We are just chatting. Oh, you just got here. Okay, yeah, you can listen to what we were talking about, the conjunction. That was a great event, and thank you very much, James, for sharing.
Yeah, and thank you very much for all of you who are fans of Ray who've joined the chat. And I'd be honored if you could follow and subscribe to me.
Yes, yeah, I'm going to actually go back to your YouTube. Again, it's The Sky Above Us. That's the name of the channel, folks. So it's like watching PBS. I was so impressed with his videos, their studio quality. The commentary that James is providing is extremely awesome. I love science videos, so I'm like a big fan anyway. So, but maybe I'm a bit partial that way. But you will love it too. Definitely, I think you will enjoy it. Watching his videos. PBS has been a great television for anyone. Right now, it's an on-demand content for us. Right, the YouTube is providing whenever we want, we can actually watch the same quality. No, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
thank
thank you
you
again,
very much
Ray,
for
and thank you
joining.
all for.
If you guys have any questions, please do let me know. We will be closing the chat. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Atoms. Thanks, May. And Chuck, thanks for joining. Thank you all.
Keep looking up.
Thank you all. Clear skies. Thank you.